So yeah, let's see what this custom story is all about, shall we? Okay, so we can just input, we can load some DLC, some mods that other guys made. I wonder where you get the editor to create the mods, or are they like completely? I guess they're completely made on their own. Or the modders, I don't know. So it's empty. Well, that's that. There's another thing that I wanted to do though, and that is talk a bit about well, what we have experienced here. I'm not sure I will get everything right, but I want to kind of have a look at my journals here. So yeah, he looks so disgusted with the situation. Yeah. So let me see. Let's try to stick to the main things first. So we have Daniel waking up here in Castle Brennenburg, and way before that, it all basically starts with Tin Hainan, or Hinan, the mother of all, an entity that is connected to the orbs and the shadows. The orbs, there are some of them, a few of them, and they're supposed to be scattered around various places, the world, I guess. But the tomb is in Algeria, her tomb, that is. And Herbert, professor of archaeology, I guess, wants to dig that out. And he has a connection to the father of Justine Flobel, I think was the surname. So Mr. Flobel is also part of the Black Order, like Brennenburg. And no, I always call them the Black Order, but they're actually called the Order of the Black Eagle. So yeah, they are all part of that, and they discuss that there is something in Algeria, and we have parallels. Like, you have basically in both storylines two mad scientists characters, and that is one is the father of Justine, and the other one is, of course, Brennenburg. They're a little different though, because Brennenburg says that he is not from this world, and he's like he says he knows what he has become, like a demon sultan, and he wants to return. And he talks about how all the equipment here is inadequate for what he wants to do for his experiments. If only he could have access to all that other worldly equipment that he knows and maybe is used to get to his lost wife. That's what motivates him, right? That's his main motivation. While also trying to prolong his life, and I guess by gaining the essence of life, vitae, through torture. This is the way to get the life continuing essence. So yeah, I guess Flobel, the father of Justine, is also like making experiments in that directions. I'm not quite sure how the religious angle fits in. After playing through the first storyline, I thought it was very much about hell, and there are some references, kinda, in Justine to that too. But there's also the the King in Yellow reference, which kinda throws me off a bit from that theory. Um, it's more that Lovecraftian, the Lovecraft mythos, that universe, which is about elder gods and beings from outer space and insanity and all that things, those things. And there are also some hints in, if you look closely, at least you can read it that way in Daniel's storyline here. Um, mm, Not just the madness that gets spread through the orbs, but there's also a reference. Let me see if I can find that quickly, to spiraling towers and deserts in his visions. Never mind, it is in there somewhere. So this kinda reminds me of the uh, King in Yellow, living on another planet, another dimension, whatever, called Carcosa, with his twin suns rising on the horizon, and vast deserts. That is kind of the place. And there's also that non-Euclidean geometry thing that is very typical of Lovecraft. And this is also part of the city of Carcosa. It's like it is built by giants, but if you try to understand the architecture and to grasp it in as a whole, it will drive you insane, because it's like an M.C. Escher painting or drawing. Uh, you know, stairs leading towards nowhere or up in the air, and connections that cannot be, that are physically impossible, like rooms connecting with each other that shouldn't connect. It's like seeing a living paradox, not one that is just a logic problem in your mind. So this is like Lovecraft tries to express what it must be like to fall victim to utter madness. So yeah, I'm kind of torn between that, and maybe this is a thing that Lovecraft does, and also Stephen King and other authors. And yeah, it's sometimes it's better to not explicitly state everything, like reveal every single secret and every little bit. Sometimes it's okay to be a little ambivalent about things. Is it hell? Is it a dimension of Hastur in the Dreamlands, or on Aldebaran, or Alpha Centauri, or somewhere else? Does it really matter? The effect is the important thing. It's like the horror that you're supposed to feel, right? And the feeling of strangeness, and feeling, the thing that kind of science fiction stories tend to always bring with them a little bit, the feeling of insignificance, like being a tiny little thing, like an ant, that is just dumb and too tiny to get the whole proportions of everything, right? So I guess that's what authors are a bit struggling with in modern times, I guess, since the last, I don't know, 100, 200 years, since the belief in religion, I guess, in some parts of the world got weaker, that kind of opened the gates to the fear that kind of gives also the a lot of power to religion, right? There's a lot of coping with the fact that humans have to die that is like built into religions. They're trying to well, they try to find reasons for existence being that way, and also they try to find mechanisms in dealing with those facts. And this is kind of like an open wound that stays if you just take religion away and don't fill it with anything else. Then you have that cold, naked science stuff, which can be very harsh sometimes and kind of depressing, if I'm honest, if I'm being honest here. And that's why, yeah, I guess people like Lovecraft have such a dark undertone in their stories. It's not just science and futurism, a vision into the future or into something new. It's also horror in there. So that's kind of interesting. But I digress. Yeah, so I'm not sure which one it is now, Hell or, like I said, the with Justine, it pretty much, it kind of you have to accept it that there's that Hastur Singh somehow involved in there, and that is well, that is science fiction, and but maybe you can have both, like I said. So it is stated that where do I go on? How do I go on? Well, let's talk about the flesh that just grows, the organic stuff. It is said that the when he makes the ritual, he wants to Alexander wants to kind of trick the shadow or appease it with by giving him just the blood of another. No matter what, just blood can like distract him for a while. So, but there's a scene where Daniel actually witnesses the ritual, and he Brenburg kinda panics a little when the organic tissue appears. So let me see. I think it's the one before is busy preparing the ritual for today. Yes, this one. Using so he uses the orb and it flares with blue fiery light. So this is what the orb does, and power, whatever. And he feels the same things like in Algeria, mad whirlpool, and Alexander can't control it. And then it comes. Suddenly the blue light was stained by strains of red, and the walls burst with pulsating tissue, resonating with the scene. Alexander then quickly covers the orb in some cloth, and the tissue vanishes. So this seems to be connected, the tissue seems to be connected to the shadow, which itself is part of the orb, and once, well, it basically kills everything that wants to control the orb or use the orb's power. It's like it's a guardian, and yeah, it's mindless in a way, and kills everything and that comes in contact with the orb, and you cannot escape it, and you are tainted. You are marked basically by the orb and by the guardian, and that is what's happened. That is what happened to Daniel. He has a mark on him, and Alexander knows a way how to contain it for a little while, and then at first he kind of convinces him sacrifice. It's always by the means of torture and killing other guys, blood sacrifice and human sacrifices. He convinces him by saying they are all criminals, but later then they go into the village, and there is the Zimmerman family, and they slay the father, and then Daniel is complicit in kidnapping the girls and the children, and well, he kills. They are like sacrificed, I guess, because he later then feels guilt and says, "What have I become? I'm a monster now. I'm." One of the girls escaped, and I chased after her. What is a life worth? How many lives can I take before I surrender my own? Sure, I would kill a murderer to save an innocent, but to kill an innocent to save myself, a cold-blooded murderer. So this is what he has become, and also he's sort of mad because he doesn't feel any regret. This is where Zimmerman is killed. Here he says then they taunt me, the prisoners taunt him with lies of innocence and cowardly pleas for mercy. So he starts to believe the lie that Brandenburg told him, that they kind of deserve to be killed, and it's okay to ritually sacrifice them, I guess. So that's the story. And Herbert, his mentor, also kind of got lost with. He got caught by the orb, I guess, before, but he managed to give him some infos, and yeah, well, Daniel himself pieced the orb together, and he was a little stronger than some of the others because he could do that, and that's why Brandenburg needed him for that. He needed him to help him mend the orb so that he can use it to return to his wife to some other world, wherever that is. Yeah, and from that other world, I guess, the different creatures originated in the end. I'd say the orbs, the guardian of the orb, and also the thing that haunted us. It was said in the water, the thing in the water, which was invisible. It was said that it dwells not in this world, but in another realm, basically. So it would be when we were about to make the what was it? The tonic. Temperature, on the other hand, will prove more difficult. I don't think it exists in this world. Yeah, it's like simply writing the word with these letters looks wrong. This also goes like towards the non-Euclidean geometry thing. It's madness, or so strange and such an otherworldly thing that you cannot even label it properly in human tongues. And Yeah, you kind of have that as well with demons. Like there's some to some lore. According to some lore, you cannot actually pronounce the name of a demon or of certain demons because they sound like, I don't know, a fire crackling, um, and or wood burning, or like some insane shriek. It goes in that direction, like unspeakable, like literally unspeakable, not because you don't dare to name it. So yeah, so it's the property of the secretion in the water-dwelling Kank. So this is a creature Kank, I guess, from that other world. Um, I'm not familiar with that name. I don't know. Cannot associate it with any author or anything. And I guess the Vaya and his mentor Agrippa, they are just like mystics. They are more or less neutral, but they have a lot of knowledge. And like I said, Vaya did indeed. They both existed, and indeed they are like historic figures, and they were kind of a little free-spirited. Like I said, they fought against the Inquisition a little bit, not like super hard, but they were kind of they had a target on their back, I guess, um, and had to suffer through some hardships because of that. And Vaya indeed wrote a book about demons, actually, and it was often quoted, I guess, during the witch trials, but in order to argue in favor for the defendant, for the air quotes witch. And yeah, so you can, from our perspective, you maybe could say they're the good guys. I don't know, maybe somewhat, a little weird maybe, but they were, like little liberty cannot hurt, right? Let's go easy, like let's be a little free. And yeah, well, those are those guys. And another thing is, which kind of got me thinking, machines and animals. Okay, machines. There's during the Justine storyline, there's a thing that she says her father, built that elaborate machine, and she kind of wonders about it. But she also says at a point, so her father did all that weird stuff, and put all the trials for her, and she later enjoyed it so much that she even killed her father when he started to regret it and wanted it to stop and quarreled with her. Then she showed her true power, which she, I guess, inherited from her mother, her other worldly mother with a blinding beauty. That's what she used to literally blind Basile then, back then, with that quote. She wanted to hear that as well, that someone said that to her. But in a loading screen, and nowhere else is it mentioned, I think, she talks about the cabinet, which is the title screen of Justine. And it's just that little hole, but it kind of looks organic, right? So she says, like, I don't know how she phrased it, but it was like she wanted it to be there, and then it grew. And this is kind of like the Guardian. This connects well to the Guardian of the Orb. It he kind of uses the material world as it pleases, and that's kind of what Justine does. She uses her imagination to form the stone and the castle and the rooms. Um, the whole things are sort of, I don't know, it sounds like that, part of her creation, but then again she says that her father created parts of that. I'm not quite sure I'm getting all that right, but she also says it's me that's hanging up there, bound with chains and with that strange phonograph stuck on her neck. So this is a way to record her voice, or was at some point, and that's how the all the phonographs ended up there everywhere. But then again, she refers to herself while looking at the body as Justine. So who is that Justine then that's standing there? Is she just like a shadow, something like a ghost that can still manipulate the real world? Or that's the thing that I'm not getting 100%. So yeah, but the Guardian of the Orb can definitely like move through the castle as it pleases. It just burrows through stone and like lets tunnels collapse if it wants to. Like if it wants to cut Daniel off from a room, or it's kind of guiding him in a way. It's like the flesh is growing at the main door when you try to leave, right? So yeah, that is what I have so far. There are many characters in there, but they play a more side role, I'd say. Like, you know, you have the Wilhelm guy. Yeah, those might be interesting as well. How are those created? That is referenced a few times. Like the skin is flailed or something. It's like a cruel process when but I'm not sure. I think Brandenburg is able to create those guys, those skulking guardians, those zombies, and Justine's father was as well, but I'm not 100% sure though. Maybe those the guard that follows Justine, maybe it was created by her, because no, probably because she's the one that burned Basil's eyes, and he's definitely part of that creation. He's in there. He says like, I'll get you, you cunt, and I'm going to kill you. That are basically his last words. I'm going to kill you, you whore. So those three guys, Alois, Basil, and what was the last guy's name? Yeah, I forgot. Anyway, those three are basically like imprisoned in the guy, and there's also the resemblance to Justine's body hanging there. Like the guard is completely naked and just has chains around his ankles and around his hands or arms, and that's it. So I don't know what they're supposed to symbolize, but seems to be a part of the creation process. So yeah, she likes to experiment too. And then, as far as I can tell, her mother was not only her beauty was not from this world, but like she was completely not from this world. I don't know. Some mysteries remain, I guess. And well, have I missed anyone? Yeah, there's a lot of the French soldier and the soapstone. Um, Maybe some things can be said about those. It's the soapstone kind of functions like a key, I guess, and it lays there on the grave of the father, um, of Justine's father. So yeah, well, I think I'm okay. I'm good with the storyline. I think I can understand what I want. I have enough understanding of the story, not everything, but enough to be satisfied for the moment. And I will look up what other guys think about that. See, it's guiding us, sort of guiding and killing us. Yeah, what point made. Okay, so that's another thing. It also bends time a little. That has been said as well, right? They travel long distances, and he's not suffocating, even though he's like in there for an hour or longer in that small tomb, Daniel. And so when you as Justine go near the guardian, near the door, or near the grave of your father, or near the demon statue, I call her a demon, time kinda slows. So this is something that I don't completely get, but I think that's interesting. Yeah, well, let's leave it at that, and I'll see what other guys have come up with, and maybe I can add a little more insight to that, what I've said so far. Okay. Yeah, so I looked up a few things. Let me just say in general that people interpret the storyline more mundane and more on a solid basis, I guess, on many points, but on some points even a little more towards they're going more towards the supernatural. It's more clear cut than my, like I always am, like my more chaotic approach, like encircling the subject, and then somewhat at some point getting to it. That's more my method, I guess. So yeah, first of all, let's talk about what we see here. So the whole Justine topic is way more like, people interpret it more like it's her father is like the more a psychologist or a psychotherapist, something like that, who thinks her daughter has a mental illness, and tries different methods and tests to find out how to help her. And yeah, so he builds this basement, he lets that basement be built, and later Justine then rearranges that. I'm not 100% sure if I'm following this, though, because if I look at this, I mean, besides that it looks like a vagina, quite obviously, it does look yeah, it's like a Rorschach test, you know. Whatever you see is in your mind, so my mind is probably quite dirty. But anyway, it looks organic. You cannot deny that, right? It's more like it is grown, that slit here. It's not like, this is not like how, you know, an architect would start to create a new room. This is like, it's like it's morphing slowly into something else. It's like a body, similar to the shadow, what the shadow does with the pulsating flesh, right? So yeah, I guess I was well, let's say other people saw it differently. They saw they would, or at least those that I've read, they saw this was just like classically built, and later Justine just repurposed the rooms and put some torture devices in there, and yeah, well, rearranged the rooms a little bit. So, and Justine isn't like Daniel in that way. She's not tainted by the shadow. She's yeah, I don't even know. That's according to the other guys. She isn't that supernatural. There's just that connection to the soapstone and the orbs, which kind of gives you power. And they say that the drawing with the soapstone, those could be orbs, and that's where the supernatural part comes from. Let's just start a new game here, because I want to talk about something else. And the suitors, as they are called, they seem to be 3 different guys, her suitors, obviously, and they're not like merged into one. To me, they just looked like that. They looked like they were one person all the time, this guy, but they're different people. And now that I know this, I think it kind of makes sense if you listen to what they say. I don't know if they really look different or if they like identical clones. I think they all have their eyes gouged out, and I'm not 100% sure though. But what they say is indeed different, and it would make sense that if they just look alike, that they say different things. And also you can notice that this one comes from a certain cell. When we meet him now, and this is a cell where Aloy was in, so this one should be Aloy. And the second one, who's swearing all the time, is obviously Basile. And the last one is Malo. So yeah. Comes out after we enter this cell, and the 3 guys that are like captured and that can survive are those guys: the inspector, and the priest, Father David, and what was the other guy? I forgot. Racien, I think this one that was in this cell. Is Lucien the father? I'm not sure. So the third one is the violinist, who goes nuts, and he says, "I want to eat you. I want to taste your flesh," and such things. And this doesn't really change. They always stick to the same line, so that really makes sense that they are different people. they're just, sometimes there are, why is this happening? They're a little confused, and sometimes they are angry, so that changes. And also, Justine, the name, is indeed a reference to Marquis de Sade, and also the name Florbel. So this is Aloy. He came out from the cell. This is the first suitor.
Help me! Please, help me!
Yeah, and I looked it up again. I really pushed the lever and the letter didn't came down. So I guess I would have to push, would have to had pushed the lever a few times to get the ladder down. But man, really, that totally threw me off track. And yeah, I also missed the ladder. Should be a little more careful here. In the next level, yeah, Justine is actually not afraid of the dark. I mean, she is kinda, but she's not losing sanity. It's just the same effect. Unlike Daniel, who seems to have some sort of phobia from the fear of the dark, and holy fuckballs. I kinda don't wanna die. Yeah, so what did I want to say? Oh, the wheel, by the way, that they are all carrying around the neck seems to be a torture device. It won't let you sleep because it's so uncomfortable that no matter which position you choose, it always puts pressure on your neck, and that's torture through sleep deprivation, basically. Yeah, so Daniel, yeah, I know what I wanted to say. Daniel really loses sanity because of the darkness, and there's also that unnatural darkness which comes from the guardian of the orb, that shows that it is also connected to the guardian of the orb, or the spirit, or whatever that is. And she is a little more resilient. She only gets like mad by looking at her former lovers, suitors, and
How did you escape?
and yeah, in the later part where she's going through the labyrinth with the with the writing in blood on the walls, where the Yellow King is mentioned. I haven't found too much on that, by the way. But yeah, that is why I kinda went more with the supernatural angle, and you know, spiraling towers and deserts and all such. That is so much, that reminds me so much of Lovecraft, of the Lovecraft mythos. Yeah. Oops. That's not what I wanted to do.
Can you hear me? It's not too late to set things right.
Is this too high? And they also have another similarity. Of course, they are kind of both evil if you think about it, right? They are both tortured people, though Daniel is a little different because he kind of was tricked into it, or he slipped a little more into that. And Justine, well, her father made her kind of mad, or maybe she was a little mad. It's more a little more natural, you could say. Maybe it is also implied by replacing the mother. That means that her father like sexually exploited her. I'm not sure how far that goes, but that's what other people got out of the game. Nope, that's not working. That's no good. Anyway. So, the other thing that I didn't really get was how... Shit. If that body at the end is Justine herself, because she says that that's her, or it is I don't like this construction here, or it is her father. Well, one second. So finally, okay, sorry for that. So yeah, but they're both like the protagonists. They don't use weapons. They both used an amnesia potion, and they both are trying to find out who they are. Oh, I didn't get the wax cylinder. Oh, fuck it. Don't care now. Oh, there's also an Easter egg. It's a reference to Portal 2, I think. A letter. We will find it soon. But yeah, she's obviously way more sadistic than Daniel is, right? And those chains, by the way, this is just this is such a classical theme and motive. You have rust, you have blood, you have those brown colors and chains. You can also find that in Silent Hill, in the other world of Silent Hill, in the Hell world, that the alternative reality that kind of represents Hell. You have all those mechanical devices and all that. They also do that here.
Congratulations for coming this far. I'm so excited for you.
Yeah, so I also looked up, well, I like secondhand looked up some things about the background, and yeah, so this the Order of the Black Eagle seemed to have actually existed, and the name Brennenburg is actually not far off from the real existing state in Germany called Brandenburg, which is pretty much that region. Well, not that exactly that region, but it's in the eastern part of Germany. So And the order actually had that symbol, um, uh, that black eagle as a crest, I guess. Mm. So yeah, the background is like in France. There was already the French Revolution, but they kind of pedaled back a little, and there was still some aristocracy left. So that's probably where Justine is. The character of Justine is set,
For some divine inspiration.
and yeah, she's like classical aristocracy.
Is the man begging for mercy, or is he being blessed? Perhaps both. Father used to say there were
And this is a letter that I overlooked. Dear, it's from Herbert, January 1839. Dear Monsieur Flaubert, I am sorry to hear about your daughter Justine's unruly behavior. Rest assured that this does not diminish your work, nor does it make your idea of the natural developing mind less appropriate as a field of study. I have met plenty of scholars here in London enthralled by your hypotheses. Hypotheses? Oh, I don't know. Sorry. And stated that it could be one of the most important ideas of the modern era. It has been suggested that the mind is not only molded by experience but could also be stricken with disease without physiological sign. Perhaps this line of thinking could be applied to your child. I wish I could devote my letter to consolidation. However, I write to you with a request. I require passage into Algeria, and I need Frenchmen of great standing to vouch for my person. I am certain the name of Flaubert would greatly speed the process and grant me the permits I require. It pains me to ask this of you in your time of distress, but if you could suffer my inconvenience, I would be greatly in your debt. Yours sincerely, Herbert. So this is what starts the whole thing, the whole Algiers thing, where Herbert takes the Daniel with him, and yeah, where he gets to meet the orb. And that is the other thing. How does the guardian of the orb operate? Does he think? Is he sentient? Or does it just react? Because you can see different a different reaction towards different peoples. Like he killed some of the guys that came in contact with Daniel and thus with the orb, and who tried to help him, like by sedating him and so on, or try to figure out what's going on. The Guardian killed them like at a different pace, and also Daniel isn't like dead instantly. He is even saved by the orb in that chamber, right? So there are some differences there. The orb or the Guardian treats different people like differently, almost like it knows their intentions, or sees in them a different potential. And so some people have said like that at first the Guardian doesn't really want to kill Daniel. It sees him more like a vessel, or some sort of suitable candidate for whatever, like an example to get rid of Brandenburg, Alexander von Brandenburg. This is a letter. Shipment slip. Congratulations on your fine purchase. The Luminar projection. Well, it's an Easter egg. You can read it if you want, but it's like Portal 2. So yeah. Yeah, and those are the suitors behind there. did I want to say just right now? Yeah, the orb, how he treats people differently. So only later, when Daniel starts to believe, and that's the thing, Alexander, which I didn't see that way. Alexander like told him like as much truth as he needed to know, but still tricked him. Like he wanted a second functioning orb to get to his back to his world. Yes, so
Who are you?
yeah, let me just insert the slides here. Should be 4 and 3 indeed.
Who's there?
4 and 3.
Look out for your feet.
So only later then, by the deception of Brennenburg, then the Guardian of the Orb kind of turns against Daniel and tries to kill him as well.
I wonder.
Oh, like I said, it
Father David
even
was
tries to
God
guide
now?
him at some points
Maybe you helped him then.
by not killing
Don't you
him,
worry. I'm sure he's
but
in
just
town with family.
blocking the doors.
Probably wasn't even all that
But
well
then again,
liked.
sometimes if he
With the current
acts the wrong
political
way,
climate, I'm surprised someone has
he
accused him already.
actually kills him.
We can't all be saved. Some don't even want to be saved. Yes.
So yeah,
That's the opening
that's he seems to be
Take
from
them
England,
aside.
this Father David, and yeah, seems they had a rough time during the revolution. So then there's Hazel. I didn't know what to make of that name. It just appeared at some loading screens, and it seems like some info can only be learned from the loading screens. Like that, I don't even remember if I've seen them, or like that the fact that Daniel was mistreated by his father, and Hazel is his sister, and she was like compassionate, but she had like a terminal disease. So this is the second suitor. This is Basile. Still looks the same to me though. And apparently, if you treat the guys differently here, you can actually get different screens where Hazel's fate is different. Like she dies, or she's taken care of in an asylum. I don't even remember, but it matters. I thought that was a neat idea. So,
I'm sure you have figured out
but
how it all
that's
works by
what kind
now.
of confused
Are
me
you
at
enjoying
that
my quiz?
time.
I think they are quite.
That there were many women mentioned that basically never appeared. Like there was Hazel, that character, there was Elise Zimmerman. I was always waiting for her to show up, but I guess that's really the girl that ran away and that we killed. I also missed her a dress or skirt lying on the floor in the basement with the unnatural darkness. You could touch that, and you would have gotten like a little message that says something about Elise, I guess. So yeah, but we heard that that's where the point where Daniel becomes a murderer and loses all self-respect. And then lastly, the woman that Alexander Brennenburg is talking about, which is his love from the other world. I wonder how she looks like. Okay, you gotta focus for a second here. I wonder if it is timed in such a way that no matter how fast you are, it will always be close. Could be. Yeah, he always breaks through when I'm here, right? Shut it. So this is the third suitor, I guess. Man, I'm stuck here. Yeah, this is the insane one. Malo. Taste my flesh. So apparently if you save him, you have to run through the whole box thing that comes up now to escape from him. Gotta concentrate a little here, sorry. Shit, wrong direction. Oh, did he see me? No, I don't think so. Man, there's so much clutter on the ground suddenly. I get stuck all the time. Okay. I don't even know why I'm replaying the whole thing now. It's not really worth it, but I guess. Let's see if we can get the full ending. Let me taste you. Okay, let's make a run for it. Ooh, boy. Justine had overdosed on lithium before and had a pretty good idea of what effects you expect. We didn't have that one before. Okay, we did well. So,
Inspector Moreau, are you still with us?
yeah, they all should be
I'm looking
alive
forward
now.
to see if you managed to save him or not. I know very little about him, but surely he had a very
So that's what also confused me. She
poor
misleadingly said the police are here, and then they referred to them as plural, like she said they are here, but it's only the one investigator, the only the one inspector that is actually here. So yeah, this time there's no body that disappears here. So about Brandenburg, yeah, he was like not from this dimension. That is pretty clear. There are less graves in here. I'm sure I was jumping in a grave here, up and down. So he had somehow the ability to create those gatherers, they are called, those monsters that guarded the cells. And it would be interesting how Justine, apparently she created those, made the suitors to those monsters, how she did that. It is kind of, there's something supernatural involved, right? And they clearly want to kill you because they are working for Brandenburg, and in this case you kind of are looking for a thrill. It's like the movie Basic Instinct, you know, toying with death and getting a kick out of it, from the fear, the adrenaline, like from the potential of death. That's what she's kind of doing to herself, by transforming them. And yeah, well, Brandenburg needed a complete, a whole orb to get back to his world, and yeah, there's the orbs are in the Mithraic religion. I assume they are. Some people have said there are. It's all there, like the shadow that guards the orb, and the orbs, and Hansu and whatnot, and it's kind of a little mixed up, and it's also a little twisted through the course of history, because, you know, kind of like, because Christianity in the end like tweaked history a little in their way, so sometimes things and persons get an evil connotation, an evil touch to them, because it is looked through the lens of Christianity, like the Templar, the Knights of the Templar Knights, and I don't know. Basically, every other religion was basically deemed as an evil cult, and so the Mithraic religion was, which also could be found in Rome, and was a little bit competing with the early Christianity. So they had kind of that thing that they saw, what Christian scholars later, or at least one of them, wrote was kind of a little harsh. Like, that probably wasn't true about blood sacrifice and bathing in pools of blood and so on. But of course, they all had like sacrifices way back then in their religion. Like basically every religion, even the Christian faith, had sacrifice. That was not uncommon at all. But yes, they wanted to make it look a little more barbaric, I guess. So it is more part of the, and here we come to Tin Hinan, of the Magna Mater, like Cybele or Cybele, that religion, which is a cult of its own, where they had like that myth, it was part of a ritual that you I think it was like a bull that had to be sacrificed, and it's also that's part of the Mithraic religion. And interestingly enough, one of those parts is that Mithras, I think, is the name of the god. There's a myth that he is born out of a rock. So you have that connection as well, which is not 100% clear for me how it all exactly works. But if you see it as that, then you do have a lot with rocks here, right? Moving rocks, collapsing structures, and so on. So, and by the way, one of the rituals for the Magna Mater in Rome, they had eunuchs, which is not a cool thing, but you could do that. I mean, for the guy that gets his balls cut off, you know. But you could prevent this by doing a blood sacrifice instead. And there was also some kind of like festival ceremony where they threw like rose petals as on the streets, like marking the street, like you know, you walk on rose petals like that, like it's something that it's an honor, you know, it's like devotion and a symbol of devotion, and you know that the goddess should walk as comfortable as possible. So yeah, I found that interesting that they had that in the, but it all kind of gets, like I said, it all gets mixed up a little. The Magna Mater thing, which also what could be found in Rome, but was way more special. It was way less common because it was like super expensive to do that initiation thing, that ritual. So only the upper class could participate in it anyway. So something like that. Yeah. So I didn't really take a look at the soapstone the first time. I just said it was a starfish. So, and this also confused me a little. He seemed to have a son before he had Justine as well, and his wife died. So the son is never mentioned again. So sometimes there are part of the stories that just go nowhere and just give me more headache and just contribute to more confusion. And also the symmetry thing I'm not completely getting. The Starstone, it's also mentioned as part of the test. It normally should open something, but it's not mentioned that we can do anything. Like here. I'm just kidding, guys. Relax. It's just, you know, I'm just a little playful, just like Justine. Yeah. Someone said that line is she like wrote it down with the blinding and made Basile read it. That would actually make sense. You know, no, it's not like she taught them like a few times what to say, but she just hold a paper in front of his nose and said, "Read this, motherfucker, before I blind you." Yeah, but well. And the members of the Black Order, this is also a little more mundane, and I didn't, I somehow in general went more with the supernatural stuff. The members of the Black Order noticed like that Alexander was living like he was basically he couldn't die, and so they got suspicious of him, and that's part of the reason why he wanted to hurry, and also the historical background that the political climate was changing, so he had to hurry a little, you know, because they all would have find him here in Brandenburg soon, and he couldn't defend himself against them all. So yeah, those could be orbs, but to me, because she says blood on the soapstone, which you cannot really see,
You have triumphed.
but
Conquered
I
my
thought
cabinet.
that would be blood.
I wish I could tell you how you did, but alas, this is a recording. You will have to figure it out all by yourself. Did anyone survive? The doctor? The priest? Or perhaps the policemen who was allowed to live. What? You should really reflect on these past events and consider what they meant to you, what you have learned about your true nature. Father never knew me. He thought he did, but then he was frightened, and nothing was ever the same again. I can still see him, lying there on the floor. He looked so surprised.
So some said
The
that
star-shaped soapstone stained by his blood fell to the floor with a sonorous thud. Blame me not, for I was but a child. With careful ambition, I dare to smile.
so there some said that is what happens when you like grow up in isolation. You kind of get detached and like a sociopath and have no empathy. You must hurry, it's not too late. I did read some of those things a little wrong here. What will that perfect sphere bring us? So I saw that we can actually go insane in here. Not that fast though. The tethered king shall dethrone. I read one of those stories, or like I read the short version, and it's quite entertaining. There's like a guy thinks that like his cousin is the king from another planet, like the Yellow King or something, and he asks him to like well, what's the word? To say I don't want to have the throne, you know, so that he can be the king, and he says, yeah, sure, whatever. The cousin says, sure, yeah, you can have the throne. And then he says, yeah, but you're also not allowed to marry. And he's just right about to marry, and so he says, oh, go fuck off, and then everything falls apart.
Now that you've seen what you truly are, you are able to go on and face eternity without fear, without doubt.
Oh, this is the voice came from that, and this is not a female body. This is definitely the body of a male person, and it's just a phonograph with a wax cylinder, and it's her papa that's hanging there, I guess, because the grave was empty. And yeah, she's not like a ghost what I saw the last time that is floating here. Let me see, there's a hole in there, or is that the target?
This was the best one yet. So elaborate. It's just too much. Enough of this. Get up, Justine.
Well done, child. God be praised. You have made us come. Open the door. Hey, you! Almost free. Come on, get us out of here!
It's all right. No one will be coming through that door. It's locked and bolted.
Yeah, so about the shadow, it reacts differently also in the endings. You can see that, I guess.
I really should keep this door locked.
It threw my stone away. Damn it. Yeah, you know, if you like push Agrippa through, the shadow kills you, and if you let Alexander live, it also kills you. But if you kill Alexander and then go through it, the shadow goes, okay, we're cool, man. Just, you can go. Leave the castle, I won't kill you. So that's also a clue how the shadow functions, right?
Mademoiselle Justine, are you down there? Is everything all right?
Of course, Clarice, I'm quite all right. Is everything ready for tonight?
Yes, the goose is ready any minute now. The guests should be arriving within the hour.
Clarice, I know it's a busy day, but make sure to post this letter for me, okay?
Certainly, Mademoiselle Justine. Urgent, is it?
Not really. It's already years late. I just thought they should know I'm still alive.
So yeah, apparently Justine just killed her father, like not super spectacular with, you know, supernatural stuff, but just she killed him and took over the castle, and everything goes on. There's more supernatural stuff involved in Brandenburg, so more than I thought, because he can actually like speak to you telepathically. This is also a thing that confused me at that time. He talks to you like in the present time. That's when you hear his voice. Like when you wake up and he kind of mocks you a little bit. Are you coming after me or what? So yeah, he has really superhuman powers. And also the stones that are swirling above him, that's telekinesis. That kind of stuff he's apparently able to do. Yeah, so that's where I kind of underestimated him. I thought he was like really like a helpless old man, but well. And also that the fact that Daniel could like see scenes from the past where he actually couldn't have been at the castle, like with Wilhelm and the man that died. That was also supernatural in some way. And some have said that the orb the shadow might have given him additional powers in order to be able that he could do that. I don't know. But hey, I gotta say, there's a lot that you could talk about in the game, and I've seen it definitely has inspired many other games and influenced many games. Many people are a fan of this game, especially like The Dark Descent, and the successor, the following, is not quite as good. It has mixed reviews, like 3 out of 5 stars. The Machine for Pigs. I have seen like short let's play footage of it, but I'm not sure if I will play it, at least not in the near future. Yeah, so a lot of people are fan of this game though, and I really can see why. And I really like the fact that you don't have a weapon. I like the feeling of being helpless, and I'm also like, when I play Resident Evil, I like to play on a harder difficulty. I don't like it when you can shoot your way through everything, so it's way more fun if you have to make everything count that you do. But hey, that's just me. And also fictional games. I have bought Soma, and I've seen a Let's Play of it, so I kind of know the story, but I want to play Soma myself at some point. It's from the same developer, so it's good, I know that. At some point I'm going to play Soma. Maybe not right now, but probably somewhat soon. Anyway, I have forgotten a million things that I wanted to say about this game now, but hey, that's life, right? It goes on, whether you want to or not. And so I will end the video. Oh, that flask here, by the way, that was indeed bromide. You can actually read it if you hold it the right way. Yeah, and there are so many little things that you could talk about. Like there are different monsters. They're not only the gatherers. And the cairn. There's also one that has a sword, and I don't know if he like that one gatherer that was like split in half. Probably it was that monster, or maybe it was the shadow. But the shadow wouldn't like make clean cuts. It would like just tear you apart, right? And yeah, so much stuff, guys. So much stuff to talk about if you want to. But hey, in the end, let's just say it's a good game, and I'm glad that I played it, even though Justine really made me grew some gray hair at some point. But yeah, well, what can I say? I was way off there. It kind of, yeah. Anyway, let's forget it. Drink our amnesia potion and move on, right? See you next time, guys. Have fun, everybody. Bye bye.